Elaine, is that okay to start? Okay. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Delaware Shade Tree Commission for October 25th, 2016, and we'll start with roll call.
Ms. Brewster? Mr. Buck?
Here.
Mr. Carey? Mr. Glissman?
Here.
Ms. Sulik? Here. Mr. Wilbur?
Here.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Here.
Councilman Hellinger?
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Wright?
Here.
And Chairman Olin.
Here.
Motion to excuse our absent members.
Second. Let's have a vote on that, please.
Mr. Buck?
Yes.
Mr. Glissman?
Yes.
Ms. Sulik? Yes. Mr. Wilbur?
Yes.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Yes.
Councilman Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Olin.
Yes. Okay, that brings us to item number 2, introduction of our new student representative. I'd like to introduce Marissa Sulek. Welcome. Thank you for agreeing to serve on this commission. This is a wonderful experience, and we welcome any input that you have, and we welcome your perspective on issues pertaining to shade trees and all kinds of natural resource related topics. Is there anything you'd like to say to us in a couple sentences of introduction?
I mean, just thank you, and I'm happy to be here.
Great. Welcome aboard. Item number 3, approval of the motion summary for the meeting held September 27th, 2016, as recorded and transcribed.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, can we have a vote, please?
Mr. Buck?
Yes.
Mr. Glissman?
Yes.
Ms. Sulik?
Abstain.
Mr. Wilbur?
Yes.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Yes.
Councilman Hellinger?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Olin.
Yes. Okay, that brings us to public comments. Stan, would you like to say anything tonight? No? Okay. So that brings us to moving right along to item number 5, discussion of the tree conservation easement at Dempsey Land Lab. So Tom, would you like to start this off? Since weren't you the one that wanted this on the agenda?
Yes, I requested to put the topic on the agenda. Now, I do not know much about the Dempsey Land Lab. That is your domain. But my primary interest was we have these beautiful Dempsey woods, and we have the wetlands. My perception was they are not as well protected as they could be and should be. And so I think I'm not alone when I expressed that. I wasn't alone when I expressed that sentiment. And so I'm glad to hear, and I was wondering, I heard through the grapevine that the school board had approved something, but I was not clear on what was to be protected. Just the wetlands, the entire 50 acres property. And what does protection mean? Does it mean protection in perpetuity? Or so I had questions about the specifics. And that is why I wanted to see that added to our agenda. And thank you, Paul, for forwarding us the actual wording of the Delaware City School District. That was very helpful. You want to take it over from here?
Sure. The way this happened was the students and basically the students of the Dempsey Ecology Project, which I started a few years ago, we got together and decided that it would be a good idea to approach the school board and ask for some type of official protection be given to the area that is popularly known as the wetlands, but it's really mostly forest area. So wetland is kind of a misnomer. Many of the science, there's no real official, unless you know an official title for that area. I don't think there's any official title for that chunk of land that's owned by Delaware City Schools. Most people just refer to it as the wetlands. But some of the science teachers would like it to be officially named as the Dempsey Land Lab to clarify its educational purpose and a little bit better. And it's also more accurate since most of the land back there is forest land and not wetland. There's a small mitigated wetland that they had to install to replace what was lost when they built the stadium at Dempsey Middle School. So we approached the school board at a meeting. We had many parents and students and local scientists and we have collaborators, many collaborators in the local scientific community, natural resource managers, and other professionals in the area of natural resources. And they also attended the school board meeting to express to encourage the school board to give some type of protection to this area. Before we attended the meeting, I tried to figure out what the most appropriate measure would be. At first, I thought that the most appropriate measure would be to implement conservation easement. But the more I researched that, the more impractical it became. It would also be would have been very expensive for the school district to implement that. And also there's something called a natural resources covenant. Ted, can you help me out? It's some type of covenant. I looked at that too, and that didn't seem to be the correct legal tool to use in this case either, since we were dealing with the school district, and nobody wants to go after a school district in terms of enforcement of a legal situation like that. So I talked to a lot of people from the Soil and Water Conservation District who were mostly in charge of conservation easements in this area, and a lot of local scientists and other people. And we agreed that a simple resolution passed by the school board would probably be the simplest, easiest, and most effective way to at least offer some degree of protection from development to this area. And that would mean it would be the easiest thing for the school board to do, and it would get the job done, I believe. And I forwarded back when this was all happening, earlier this year and late last year, I forwarded this language to a lot of these local scientists and natural resource managers who I was collaborating with on the Dempsey Ecology Project. And every one of them took a look at it and read through the wording, and I got no objections from any of these professionals that we were collaborating with. So that helped me to decide that yes, this was the most appropriate action to take. And the school board was very forthcoming and very helpful. They voted on it. They brought it up to their meeting very quickly. And Paul Kraft, the superintendent, told me that they were all very much in support of this measure, and they have every intention of retaining this land for its ecological and educational purposes. So as a person who has a lot of time and energy invested into this land out here, both physical and mental energy invested into, and a lot of students, a lot of our local students do as well. We are all satisfied with the outcome. Are there any other questions? Does anybody have any
It is a wonderful
observations?
living laboratory for our students. They can actually, go out in nature and look and touch, the plants. And, there are also a few critters. So that's a wonderful opportunity for Delaware City students. I'm very gratified to hear a couple of things. That the way wetlands is defined in this document, the way I interpret and read the document, it does seem to imply the entire wetland / forested area. So my understanding is it is all the entire 50 acres property. It doesn't say that explicitly, but that is the indication of what I gather here.
Right.
I'm also
Right.
pleased to hear that the property will be henceforth off limits to any and all development, as the text states. That's also wonderful. I'm less happy about a subsequent sentence. I'm quoting, "This resolution will remain in force until and unless a subsequent board action is taken amending or vacating this resolution." So this resolution is not in force in perpetuity. It is subject to future school board. And if they need money, if there's pressure for whatever reason, the property is not conserved forever. It is simply preserved for the time being, for the foreseeable future. The current school board members have, I'm sure, wonderful intentions. They are good people. But it remains to be seen, what happens to that property in 20 years, in 50 years, in 100 years down the road. I would have preferred a solution that would have preserved that particular urban forest, one of the last remaining urban forests in Delaware, in perpetuity. So, I'll shut up after this.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Yeah, I thought about that too, and many types of action can be undone. Many things that we think of, oh, well, this will be forever, really aren't. For instance, it wasn't that long ago that they were talking about fracking and drilling for gas on state park land, something that a lot of people thought would never happen. If it were rezoned, then it could be just subsequently rezoned again. So is a very strong word, and I was thinking that this was the most streamlined, most efficient action that we could take at the time, and it's not written in stone, but I don't think there are many things that really are written in stone nowadays.
You mentioned earlier that you had researched conservation easement, and you implied that there were some legal hurdles. That wasn't the word you used, but there were some.
Right.
Is a conservation easement, is that a higher level? Is that more of a in perpetuity kind of situation?
That is, but it's also, and I talked to Larry Ufferman of the Delaware Soil and Water Conservation District. Him and I forget the other guy's name from Soil and Water Conservation District.
Ross?
No, but anyway, Larry just retired recently, but we had a meeting last year at the Tech Center at Delaware City School Tech Center to discuss conservation easements specifically. And those are the two guys that are responsible for most, if not all, of the conservation easements in Delaware County. And they pointed out the expense that would be involved, and that it just wouldn't be the right legal tool to use for this. Nobody would want to they thought that we would have a hard time finding somebody to be, what is the proper term for this? The holder of the easement, since it would be with a school district. And there's some sensitive issues involving school districts. So they strongly suggested staying away from the idea of a conservation easement. And they also pointed out that there are some very potent natural barriers to development as well. And that is just the logistics of the civil engineering involved that would be required to go in there, how the roads are situated, the railroad is situated, the wetland, the drainage situation. It would be a very challenging area. The way the surrounding roads and access points are situated, and the topography itself, they seem to think that were many natural barriers to development as well. So given that, and given the current board's willingness and enthusiasm for passing this resolution, we thought, and again, I ran it by all the professionals who I collaborate with on the project, and they included scientists from the U.S. Forest Service, Soil and Water Conservation District, conservationists, preservation parks manager, ODNR folks, the Ohio Invasive Plant Council, quite a number of people. I forwarded this language to and asked them, do you see any issue with this? Do you see any problem with this? And nobody had any problem with it. So I figured, based on all that this was the best way to go. Is it perfect? We don't know yet. It may be in perpetuity. We don't know one way or another whether it's in perpetuity or not. It's not absolutely airtight, but I don't think anything is absolutely airtight nowadays.
Well, my remarks were not meant in an argumentative manner. I'm appreciative, I'm grateful, we are where we are. I'm happy to hear that this parcel of land is now preserved for the foreseeable future. And that's a great achievement.
Great. Yeah, we thought so too. We were very pleased that it worked out well. I think it was a win-win for everyone. Okay. Any other observations, comments, questions? Okay.
Maybe one, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Tom. You have plenty of time. It's only 20 minutes.
To officially, in the name of the Shade Commission, thank the Delaware City School Board and the Delaware City School District for listening to us and for taking that into consideration and for making the decision they made.
You're here.
Okay.
Okay. So that's official. Stan, can you pass that along? Thank you. Stan's our liaison. Okay. So let's see now. If that's it for item number 5, then on to Doug and the arborist report.
Well, you can see there were 8 trees removed, taken down. Actually, 3 of them were stored damaged trees from the rains that we had a few weeks ago. We did do 283 street trees were pruned, and that number, the bulk of that number was down in Cheshire Crossing, which completed that neighborhood hopefully for the next 5 years. Current backlog of trees is still 293 trees. However, we just received 213 trees delivered to our shop at Ross Street. Took our last order load today, and those will be starting to be planted next week, early in the week. about 100 of the trees will be planted by a contractor. Most of the trees will be planted in the northwest neighborhood areas and the northwest side of towns, since those are the areas that were where we've lost a lot of the trees and they were the next on the list. Also, we planted a lot of trees down south and also on the west side of town last year. And also the east side, like Kensington, was completed last year with its replant. So we will be concentrating on the northwest neighborhood and the northwest neighborhoods, the northwest neighborhood area, and then also the northwest side of town. Again, as soon as we're done with that planning project, we will get back onto the side on the pruning of street trees for clearances. We can't, we just don't have the manpower to do both at this point in time. We will do CSRs if necessary for safety issues, if signs are blocked or if trees come down in the meantime. That's all I got. Oh, everyone should have received a copy of the species that were purchased and also the zoo browse list again. Those were emailed to you after last month's meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for sending those out, Doug. Any questions for Doug? Okay. Staff comments? Anything going on there, Ted?
No, just planting these trees is going to be a big boost to start getting towards our backlog. It'll eat up a big chunk of our backlog, and I'm thankful to Doug for getting that going. So that'll be a real benefit.
Yeah. Okay. Member comments? Any Shade Tree Commission members have any comments or topic subjects they want to talk about?
I do, but that's somebody else. I've said enough. No, anyway.
Nope. You got it, Tom.
Okay, good. Okay, you got it. A couple of things. As you may or may not be aware, I monitor commission meetings and city council meetings, etc. So I wanted to bring a couple of things to your attention. The city council had a CIP session, capital improvement, on October 3. And the issue of street trees and sidewalks came up. That's something in our bailiwick, and we should know about that. People are concerned about street trees and the damage they can cause to sidewalks, through sidewalk heaving, etc. So, the city engineer, public works director Bill Torino said, city streets do have a lot of value, a lot of merit, he said, but there are also issues involved, infrastructure costs, as far as sidewalks are concerned. He estimated, when asked, that about half of the costs associated with sidewalks, 50% are tied to street trees. I think he also mentioned you, Ted, sorry for putting you on the spot, but he mentioned that Ted is looking at the way to plant, no, that's a different topic, and street trees on East William Street, etc. But the topic of sidewalk heaving continues to be on the agenda of City Council. There is a lot of money at stake. I'm not sure yet. I think we have made some recommendations. What can be done to mitigate the problem, to reduce the costs. I'm not sure if anybody has taken these suggestions to heart and is implementing them, but it's something we should be aware of. So street trees do have their detractors. They are not universally loved by everybody. Also, another thing, I'm not betraying any big secrets here. It is all public information. The Planning Commission met on October 19th, and Coughlin's Crossing was a big topic, the biggest topic on the agenda. Coughlin's Crossing is a new 80-acre development between US 23 South and Stratford Road, just north of the new Meeker Way. So south of, before you hit the intersection 23, 315, that area. There's currently a horse track there, farmhouse, farm barn. So that entire area is now slated for development. It will be, presumably, rezoned from agricultural to mixed use. There are, of course, many trees, and I think, Doug, you were involved in counting them and the caliber inches, etc. So I wanted to bring to your attention something that has to do with our street tree fund. The entire amount. I'm looking for the precise quote here. Many trees will be preserved, thankfully, but many also have to go. And the difference between the trees removed and trees permanently preserved amounts to over 4,000 caliber inches. That means potentially a payment of $407,000, $407,200 payment to our tree fund. Now, any street trees, landscaping trees, park trees, that Coughlin's Crossing will plant will be deducted from that amount. But regardless, we are talking about a huge contribution to the tree fund who knows, how much it will be. I've seen a preliminary landscaping plan. We have yet to approve that as a Shade Tree Commission. But we are talking about a lot of money here. So $400,000 plus $195,000 that is currently in our tree fund amounts to more than $500,000. So that's a lot of money, and hopefully we will be able to do a lot of good, productive things with that money. Which brings me to the next topic, to Ted Miller. Has city council and the finance director have they decided what can be done with that money and what cannot be done? Can it be used for maintenance, or must it be used for replacement only? So I'm wondering.
We're actually looking at updates to the ordinance right now, and we'll be presenting this to the board when we get it through staff comments. But yes, we're looking at updating that so we can precisely say, like, if we're going to use that money towards replacement trees and also maintaining those replacement trees for 1 year or however long it takes, to get them established. And that is part of the update to our code to make sure that we can use that money towards that. And that development you're talking about, I think that is going to be laid, and I could be wrong, but I think they're looking at a series of payments on that. I don't think they're going to do a lump sum at once.
Okay, I have the specifics here. I have the plan right here. To satisfy everybody's curiosity, I'm sure you have to know that. The applicant shall pay $100,000 upfront. Once the project is approved, it's yet to be approved. We've only seen a preliminary plan. Planning Commission will meet again on November 2. The project then has to be approved by City Council, but there will be a payment of $100,000 upfront, and then the rest will be paid in installments, in phases. There are multiple phases, and the project will be completed. Is slated to be completed within a 3 to 5 year period, according to Connie Klima, I think was the spokesperson for that project. So once approved, if and when approved, the money will eventually lots of money will eventually become available for us.
Yeah, and we are still working on that long-range plan where we look at, I think when we last looked at it, there's a series look. Every year we're looking at replacing 50 trees, at least a minimum, and using that fund to make sure we keep up with tree replacement, so we don't get such a large backlog in that fund. But right now, we just want to update that ordinance so that we're sure, how that reads and how that money can be spent out of that tree fund.
Yeah, that's good, Tom, thanks.
So how does that work with that ordinance then? What are you saying there, that would go through city council then and for approvals and
Yeah.
who's actually writing that? Or who's actually putting forward the verbiage for that?
Dave Eflin's been working on it. Darren Schulman's been working on it, trying to get that language to a point where we can. Right now, we're not real sure, how that money can be spent. I mean, obviously, we think it would be spent for street trees. That tree fund could go towards that, but it's the way the ordinance is written now, it's not specifically stating that. So that's why we want to update that ordinance so that we can specifically use that money for street tree replacement and not long term, but mainly so we can get those street trees established, and that money can specifically
Would
be
that
spent
be
for something
something
like that.
that we'll be able to see ahead of time? and
Yes,
comment on it?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. That would be one of the things is to present it to this board once we get staff comments and where they feel it should be at that point. And I feel we're pretty close. I would say next month we should be able to get that.
So you think it's already written?
I think we've got comments. It's just, the wheels sometimes move slow and.
You can't see it. It's a
Yeah,
secret.
I want to make sure to get everybody's comments in there and then present it to this board for recommendation.
Two things that I'd like to see if it could be included. One would be some sort of set aside or rainy day fund, like when we
Yes.
got into a problem when there was no development,
Mhm.
and then we had all these ash trees that needed to be replaced. So if there was some way to sort of hold some money for those rainy day situations. And the other one might be some sort of ongoing research or assessment of our urban forest. We've never had a canopy
Right.
assessment done of the city, and that would be something that I would be really interested in
Okay.
seeing done.
And I had mentioned to Paul, I think last month, that the idea of possibly doing an urban forestry management plan for the city.
Yeah.
And I definitely rely on this board for help on completing that plan. But I think that would be a big step and a good step for the city. But that rainy day fund, kind of what you alluded to, Dean and I have kind of discussed that also. And that's one of the reasons we just don't want to just, throw that money towards street trees right now. We want to make sure that we can first, but then also have a plan over time that, we got to figure out how much. I just sent Dave Eflin an email today, how much we typically get into that tree fund a year. And he can kind of look forward to the next 3 years based on what
Yeah.
developments he's been seeing to kind of get an idea. But for the last, like last year, I think only 15,000 was budgeted towards that fund.
Right.
But you just never know year to year. So trying to get an idea and making sure that we have a plan in place so that when we do withdraw funds from there, we're not depleting it completely.
And then finally, something that keeps rearing its ugly head every 2 or 3 years is the downtown trees, the Main Street Delaware, continuing concern that not the right species, or they would like to explore
Well,
different species. So,
they're the right species when they're flowering.
yeah.
Everybody loves them
For
when
those
they're
two
flowering.
reasons, yeah,
They're
yeah.
definitely the right species then.
So
But then they're the wrong
if we could look at that plan as a way to target a replacement cycle, if that's the right word, for the downtown area, so. Because we've said in the past, we don't want to yank out, healthy trees just to make merchants happy downtown, although that is important, but if we would be able to say to them, this is our plan, this is a long-term plan.
Yeah, they're not being forgotten.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
their concerns are heard and we're acting upon their concerns. Yeah.
But Main Street does have a new executive director.
That's right, I heard that,
Susie
yeah.
Dribbler. Now, she's new at her job, and of course, we should give her time. But eventually, we could maybe early next year, we can invite her.
Yeah.
She can ask around, she can talk to business people and gather some information. And maybe we can invite her and she can report to us
That's a good idea.
how business people are thinking, about street trees.
That's a good idea because I wonder how many of these business people that may be disgruntled know that they can come in and talk to us about this anytime. But you're right, maybe if we extend a formal invitation to the new, what is she called, the chairperson?
Executive director.
Executive director, that we can begin a new relationship with the merchants downtown and get it off on a positive, a more positive note.
Yeah, I've been on the Shade Tree Commission for a number of years now. I've personally never quite fully understood the disgruntlement that some downtown business people feel, about those trees and the Shade Tree Commission. But some people, I won't mention the names, but some people were openly hostile, etc. So that's very unfortunate. And maybe there was not enough communication going on. So maybe this is a good time to reset the relationship and start anew.
What's her name again, and how do you spell it?
Beibeler.
Okay.
Am I thinking, I was thinking that is Main Street, are they joining up with somebody else? That wasn't Main Street. Who was I thinking of?
They're still.
Okay, I was thinking somewhere, I heard they were thinking about, them and another group were thinking about joining and coming together. Okay.
George, is Main Street Delaware real active in attending city council meetings and giving their input and perspective on a regular basis to?
They're not shy, but no, we typically see them at a couple council meetings a year.
Okay.
But we also have, we have a council rep that sits on the Main Street board. And,
okay.
And we have very open communications with Main Street.
Okay.
At all.
Kind of like your role is with us.
Well,
There's
and
someone
yes,
for that
and
for Main
also,
Street.
with all staff. So,
Okay.
it's very open communications.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like this is an opportunity with this new executive director to get things in a more positive direction with Main Street Delaware. Any other member comments? Nothing right now.
I just wanted to add one more thing. On November 19th, before we meet next month, Colin, our watershed coordinator, is organized a honeysuckle removal at Mingo Park.
Yeah, November, I was going to ask you because I forgot about that. November 19th?
And I believe it's at 9 a.m. He's organizing a group of volunteers to remove some honeysuckle down there. And then it's a Saturday. And on November 28th, we'll meet again before that, but I just kind of want to give you a heads up. November 28th, we're going to start with the Christmas tree downtown that week. So we'll be prepared for First Friday of lighting the Christmas tree.
Thanks, Ted. Okay. On the honeysuckle pole, those are some pretty big plants.
Right. There are
We gonna do cut and squirt, or what are his plans?
I'm not sure. I have to get some specifics from Colin on that.
Because those are monsters.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if we'll be able to do the spray on those. I'll have to get some specifics on that and find out what he's got planned for that.
Well, you have a certified applicator on staff, don't you? For public.
3 of us.
Yeah, I got 3. Okay. So you can just cut and squirt Garlon or whatever.
Yeah. I'll get with him and get that a little more organized and let everyone know before the next meeting.
Because it's not too late to use that systemic. You can,
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks, Ted. Any other member comments? Okay, no more member comments. Any plan reviews? Did we have any plan reviews tonight?
Nope.
No? Okay. Wow, this is a record-setting
Well, I
easy
hope,
meeting.
I'm sorry, let me see one more. The planning meets on November 2, City Council, I forget the dates now, but a couple meetings in November. I hope the Street View Commission will get to see the plans for Confidence Crossing before City Council approves them. Or eventually, after the fact, that's fine.
Didn't we,
But there have been times in the past where the Street View Commission was unfortunately bypassed.
there was a preliminary plan,
It
maybe
was
as long as.
informational.
Yeah, was it, but I don't even remember that name being applied to it, but I do remember the location. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
We've seen an actual landscape plan, and I guess it's gone back for revisions or such, but
Okay.
we've nothing.
Was that Coughlin's land there? Is that owned
I
by
don't know where the name
Coughlin?
comes from. It's Mika Farm and then Homestead.
Doug, on that inventory, the tree inventory on that area, is there, did we ever look at a copy of the actual tree inventory with species and numbers and caliper inches and all that? Am I forgetting? Did we already look at that?
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're asking me.
The tree
For the
inventory,
entire,
yeah, for what is going to be included in Coughlin Crossing.
there was species and there was drawings for them. Yes, there was.
Okay,
But not an inventory of what's existing now.
Right. They
Yeah.
didn't have their tree count
Yeah.
done yet.
right, that's what I would like to see. If we could see the inventory, because I don't remember seeing it.
That'll come when the plans come.
Okay.
That'll come with the plans.
Okay. All right, thanks. Okay, any other member comments or plan review? Well, no, we don't have plan reviews. Any comments at all? Okay, move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, thank you very much. What?
Not
Yeah.
always.
No, they're not always.